Hey guys, Chris here. So I am doing this video because I was unable to find anything online in regards to this. So this is the front of the valve rod, and I can still see, I'll show you, there's a piece of the rubber gasket around it that came out with it. And you can see it right here. See, I'm pulling on it. So I think this is honestly a bad design, to be honest with you. I don't think it should have been done that way. But I'm going to take this off and replace the O-rings. Thanks to the help of another YouTuber. I'm going to mention him as soon as I look his information up. But he's been very helpful and went out of his way to give me a hand. And I very much appreciate that. So it's nice to know that I'm not the only one on here trying to help people out. So I'm going to go ahead and do this because I couldn't find any videos on it to help you guys if anybody else is having this issue. So what I'm doing now is obviously degas this gun completely and make sure there's nothing on any of the regulators, loosen the regulators, do whatever you have to do to completely degas the gun because you're going to undo the plenum. So you're going to take that front shroud off, obviously your bottles, and then you're going to take the bottom shroud off, which is the plenum. So as I'm taking that off, it's got quite a few threads. And then I haven't actually done this before, so this is my first time doing it. But it looks like a pair of snap ring pliers is gonna be able to get it. So that's what I've got ready to do it. And then I have all kinds of O-rings. I have a huge assortment of O-rings. There we go, that's off. All right, I gotta loosen these two. Then there's a couple of 3mm screws that are on a clamp, just like on the impact. It's very similar. That up out of the way. Now I have the angled pieces for my snap ring pliers. So these are going to turn down and go into it. It'll make it a lot easier. So these are snap ring pliers. They just have the ability to go in both directions, whether out or in, and they have the ability to change those pieces like that. So I'm going to go like this. They're going to be going down. And then we're going to tighten that. Those are just little set screws. Kind of like a lot of the FX guns, set screws. They're 2mm on this one. I honestly don't recall where I bought this, but you can buy snap ring pliers just about anywhere. Okay. And then I should be able to turn this. Yep, there we go. Okay, so I'll show you the part that I'm turning. So you see right here, that's where the valve rod comes out. Now I'm turning this. I have my second bottle adapter. I probably should have gone with the straight, but this did get it started. So it's actually spinning somewhat freely. So I'll use some small ring pliers right now. All right, because that's spinning pretty freely. So, and then we'll just keep spinning it until it comes out. And then there's a number of gaskets in here. which that same gentleman who helped me out had given me the specs on the gaskets. So this is the main gasket that probably broke, or no, maybe it's inside here. It is. There's an O-ring on the inside of there, so I'm going to need a pair of tweezers. And then there's another O-ring which I'm going to replace them all while I'm in here. There's a tiny one inside here. Let me show that to you. Let's grab a pair of tweezers. And you're going to need some precision tools for this, like precision tweezers and stuff like that, and O-ring remover. Let me get a good light. So this is the O-ring that was ripped open, that was causing the leak. And this came out of here in the middle. All right, and then there's another one on the outside I'm going to replace just for good measure. Where's my O-ring tool? Sure where my main O-ring tool that I use is, but this should work just fine also. Just something with a blunt end so you're not ripping O-rings, especially when you're putting the new ones on. Alright, now I'm going to match up these two O-rings and replace them, lubricate them. I'm going to use silicone grease rather than a silicone oil that will last longer. So you guys can see I keep a wide variety of O-rings for things like this. So I just go into here and I'm going to match this up exactly. Those are a little too fat. It's going to be one of these. That's a little too fat. That's probably this one. Not too big. That's it right there. Oops. Alright, that's the smaller one. Yeah, that's too big. That's gotta be it. I also have the kits for each gun that has all the O-rings, which I didn't even look in yet. I keep all my FX parts in one box. Well, most of them. The bigger parts that I replaced are not in here, but this is all my all my pellet pins and hammer weights and things like that. And then I have gasket kits here, right here. Looks like there may be a better fit right in here. This is probably the exact one, which is what we want, obviously. There we go. Well, no, that's actually the same as what I have. So it is the same either way. Alright, and now I need this. Let's see if I have one of these. I'm sure I do. I just swear I have one of these. That's it right there. Okay. Let's the old one out. The old one's not damaged or anything. I'm just going to replace it for good measure. And this is the silicone grease that I use. It's called Super Lube. Get it at Harbor Freight. You know, they're not good for tools, but they are good for some stuff. So I'm going to grease these two O-rings. And then, where's that that I had? I get them on a space clear. I don't know why I misplaced that. I generally have my laptop right there so I can look up information while I'm doing repairs. What the hell did I just do with that? There it is. Okay. So we're going to replace this O-ring and use a blunt instrument again here. And if it's the right size, it'll be nice and tight like this, where you kind of need a blunt instrument to get it on. Okay, now I'm going to replace this. This is going to get lubricated a little bit. And then we have to get it back inside there, which should be fun. But with it thoroughly greased, it should go in fairly easy. I may need to find that O-ring tool to get this seated properly. All right, let's see if I can find that O-ring tool. Or maybe a pair of tweezers, a pair of blunt tweezers might help. Oh, there's my O-ring tool. So this is my favorite O-ring tool. It's got a rounded edge on this side and then like a more pointed edge, but it's still blunt, it's not sharp. So sometimes one works better, sometimes the other. The round one tends to work better for seating and for pulling out, and this one works better, the other side works better for getting them started into the seat. And the reason I want to mention the other gentleman, because he went out of his way to give me a hand, because he had been through this, and that's worth recognizing in my opinion, because, you know, not a lot of people are on YouTube to help each other out. That's the entire reason that I do these videos, is to help other people save money and be able to do this stuff themselves. Look at that, hold up. But me doing that, this person said that he liked the videos and helped me out, and I greatly appreciate that. Greatly appreciate that. Okay, it's all good. Just like that, that's simple. So now we are going to center this valve stem, and we're going to push this down on it nice and even so it goes through the middle. Start it. Okay, and then I'm going to get my small snap pliers. This right here is why you be very careful when you're casting lead. I should have been wearing a glove, but I wasn't actually casting at the moment. I was trying to clear the spout because it was clogged, and I jolted and it spilled, clearly. So now those angled snap ring pliers I'm going to use just to make the final, you know, torque down, because there is spring tension on it, but it is going to, see, there goes the valve rod, and it's nice and tight. And then I'm going to put this back together and show you, gentlemen and ladies, hopefully everybody's watching this, and anybody with this problem anyway. And I'm going to show you that it won't leak. Hopefully. Like I said, I haven't done this before. Alright. And, oh, I did actually hear back from FX already. And their solution was, even though I have a competition in 3 weeks, they want me to send this gun in so I can practice with it. And because they don't think I'm mechanically inclined enough to do this on my own. Because as you can see, I'm definitely not. I told them I was in the Marines, and I literally know how to take a gun apart and put it together with my eyes closed. I, like, quite literally was trained to do that. Okay. All right. That's it. Now we're going to tighten these back down. And you know what? I'm going to use a socket because I want to make sure it's nice and tight. This O-ring up while I got it open. And anybody that has any questions about any of my videos, feel free to comment. I don't think there's one single comment that I've gotten that I haven't replied to. I'm happy to reply to you. I'm happy to give you advice on whatever situation you're having if I have it. And I'm happy to get advice on situations that I don't know about, like this. I was very happy, and I very much appreciate that gentleman doing so. So now I'm gonna put the bottles back on. I do have to just put this plate back on here because I didn't get the cheap FX version because theirs is actually subpar to the HUMA Air version. So the HUMA Air version of the additional bottle has a metal plate that goes over the threaded part for your new valve, or your new bottle rather. And that secures it to the gun so that you're not, especially if you're using a bottle band and you don't modify your rail to fit like I did, which, you know, if you want to know how to do that, I'll tell you the measurements that I took. If you're going to need a milling table, you could probably do it with a Dremel or something if you chose to. But I have a milling table, so obviously I used it. But if you need any help with that, I'm happy to help you out. Like literally, I'm actually happy to help you out. I would be happy to help you out because I would like to see more people getting this stuff done on their own instead of sending it back to FX. So the first thing that I did was save this, and I had to make these bolts. So these were, I think I threaded these to the right size thread, and they were longer bolts, and I just made them shorter and I rethreaded them. So, I mean, you can do that with a hand tap and die. You don't need to have a lathe. And then I put the two screws on the bottom of this, which are where? Those aren't them. Are they in it? Where's the other piece? Oh, I put it on. Yeah, they are in there. Alright, let me get my torque wrench. And another thing you're going to definitely need if you're working on these guns by yourself is a torque screwdriver that's in inch pounds. I don't know if they come in foot pounds this small, but like a screwdriver like this. But you need even to mount the scope properly, you need one of these. Sorry, I'm not looking at the camera. I'm trying to find the right bit for this. There we go. That should be it. Nope, too big. So yesterday with the 100-yard practicing, I was starting off thinking I was going to do a 30 caliber on my impact for the 100-yard bench rest, and as it turns out, the 22 with slugs, even with pellets, the 22 pellets are actually going straighter at a slightly higher velocity than the 30 caliber slugs or the 30 caliber pellets. So I made an order for 4 tins of pellets, which I don't even shoot pellets, only for this competition. So I'm gonna cancel that order because it hasn't shipped out yet. Since I ordered a part, I ordered a 30 caliber change kit for the crown, and they didn't have that in stock. So luckily it hasn't shipped out yet, so I should still be able to cancel it. I'm not gonna cancel the rest of the order, just that part, but at least they haven't shipped it out yet. Where is this Torx bit? It's a quite small Torx bit. Maybe I have another new one in here. Oh, no, that's empty. It's this one. Yes, there we go. All right, that's it. That's one. All right, that's 2. Now I'm gonna put this rail back. And those were 10 millimeter. One of them is a little strip. Oh no, they were smaller than this, weren't they? Is that a 10? Yeah, they were smaller. One of them is a little strip, so I have to use a pair of pliers to tighten that one, but the bottom 2 are torqued to spec, so I'm not too concerned about it. Because I put it's an 8 millimeter, that's what I used. So I'm not too concerned with it because I can get them down pretty good with the right size wrench. I may even have an 8 millimeter. No, I have an 8 millimeter. So I should put some smaller sockets in here. Everything, all my main tools are in my bigger workshop with my milling table and my lathe and all that. My welding stuff, plasma cutter, which are all tools that you kind of need if you want to get into heavy modifications. I mean, you can use a bandsaw, and it's probably better than a plasma cutter because it's hard to keep the plasma cutter straight. But like when you have to cut a weld out, and the weld is always the hardest part because it's both metals melted together with the welding material. So it's always much harder than any other part of the material. So actually it's stripped, but it's turning. so it won't turn all the way. Once I get it tight, I'll have to use pliers, a vice grip, needle nose vice grip. And then this is how I'm going to remount my rail. So I had to use this part again, which made it come out slightly further, which is actually because of the block that comes with the HUMA Air one. But that's actually better because then when I stabilize the front with the screw on the top and on the bottom, it's hitting the shroud, not the plenum. So it actually worked out pretty well. So Sabre Tactical can come out with one for 300 bucks, but guess what? I got one that's probably better for free, for a little bit of work, and so can you. And I'm happy to help you do it. If you're local, I'm happy to let you do it here and do it with you. That's because my genuine motivation for doing these videos is to actually help people do things on their own and save money, because that's what I do with everything. If I don't know how to do it, I buy the tools and I learn how to do it. And from then on, I can do it for myself. It's actually holding, so that's good. All right, so that's on. Let's grab the rail. Okay. Then I'll show you what I mean by the screws. And I put rubber underneath the screws so they're not actually damaging the shroud. And then these longer screws go on the bottom so they don't hit the plenum. These are, I believe, a 2.5. It's going to be this. Yes, 2.5. So I'll hand tighten them, and then I'll come back and grab the wrench, and then we'll tighten them down. And then I'm gonna, both bottles are filled. I have the fill adapter, so I filled them separately when they weren't on the gun. So they've got a little over 250 bar in them. And I'm gonna put those both on right after I'm done with these last couple screws and let you guys see that it won't leak. It shouldn't leak. Because I definitely narrowed down the spot that it was leaking from, and that was most certainly it. If I don't have the guy's name, I don't have my laptop, and I also haven't gotten his permission. I wanted to make sure he was okay with me mentioning him in the video. If he tells me it's okay, and I don't hear from him before the end of this, then I will add it to the comments later so that you guys can know who else was willing to go out of their way to give me a hand. So these are the two screws that I put in. The bottom one's holding on a Picatinny rail, but it's a longer, not a standard Picatinny screw. And what it does is it hits the bottom of the shroud and holds the Picatinny on, so that these two brace the front of the top rail. And between the two of them, it braces it really, really well. Between the back screws and then these, it braces it really well. Like it holds a bipod completely steady. Now, we're going to put the bottles back on. Get this one started. And then I had my 580 for my impact, since I put a 700 on it. And I ended up switching it to the 480 from the Crown and putting the 580 on that, because this still has more air than either one of those two guns. You see my tolerance is very tight. It just clears it because I wanted to keep that entire M lock. Okay, that's getting close. How about that? So we are now at 150 bars, so I'm going to fill it up a little more. Let me see where my tank is so you guys can see that it won't leak. Oops. Oh, that's all right. Tank is actually out in here somewhere. Oh, it's right over here. I don't typically like to bang my guns around like that, but it was falling and I wasn't going to get here in time, so. Alright. There's a hose for this. And I always use a filter on my hoses, always. Because I have the Hill compressor and it uses silicone oil to lubricate. So I never ever fill the guns without a filter. Alright, we're at about 260 bar. No leaks. Oh, that's coming from there. I have to adjust this. Yeah. When I took this out, I had this back end apart, and when I took it out, I didn't adjust this. The pellet probe has to go further in, so it's coming out. You know, if your pellet probe's not far enough up, it'll give you a little bit of air out of here, but it's definitely not leaking from that valve rod. So you guys can try to hear it for yourself. Oh, I have a mic on, so you can try to hear it for yourself. Not a damn thing leaking. So there you go, guys. I couldn't find any videos on this, so I figured it was a good thing to make a quick video about, because this is something that people are definitely going to need to know how to do, because especially if you've added any power. And also, by the way, this HUMA air block that holds the bottle steady, not only is it extended so that it goes onto the bottle perfect and it sits flush and stabilizes it, but also on the back side, it's cut out enough for that valve rod to actually come out and not hit anything and bend. So that's another bonus, because that's another common problem I've seen. Okay, so thank you very much for watching. Like I said, I'll mention the other gentleman who helped me figure this out as soon as I get his permission to do so, because I don't want to do it without his permission. But thank you for watching, and hopefully this helps one of you guys out.